Substance abuse services. Brought to you by the Tennessee Gambling Clinic, the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
The Nightcap with Tim Murray.
Breaking down the players and then trying to correlate them to the betting market.
And Sean King.
There are guys that are going to be available that have more value than overdrafting a running back.
Weeknights at 9 on your home for VSiN, 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9 The Fan.
30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. It's the George Plaster Show, featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famers Kelly Holcomb and young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It is, at least right now, a beautiful Monday afternoon. The sun is out here in Bellevue. We're at the Fordyce Center, where we do our show on a daily basis. Let's get things moving. Got a lot to get into. Let's go to Murfreesboro and say hello to Kelly Holcomb. Kelly, how are you?
I'm great, George. How you doing?
Did you watch a little football this weekend?
I did. I watched some football. I watched some high school football a lot last week, Thursday and Friday.
Yeah.
I had to do those games in Chattanooga, so that was kind of fun. Did y'all watch? Did y'all watch? Did y'all critique? You didn't critique me?
I watched. I never saw one of your games. I saw a couple of them that Joe Fisher and Josh Corey ended up doing.
Oh, wow. So Joe Fisher means more to you than I do. Wow.
Well, Battleground Academy means more to me than you do. Although it's very close.
That's true. Hey, CPA is a tough out, though, man.
Man.
They kind of run that division there.
Yes. Congratulations to Ingle Martin and that entire crew, including a great running back. Billy, what about your weekend?
It was good. Kelly, who did Nashville Christian play? I think I remember watching that one.
If you wouldn't have asked me, I would have known because I know. Oh, Columbia Academy.
Yeah, I checked out that one. I'll admit, Kelly's a pretty good color analyst.
Kelly
is very good. Do I explain it to you, Billy? Do I explain it to you, Billy?
Yeah, he explained the quarterback position pretty well. He did a good job.
Thanks.
Kelly, you and I have done some games together, have we not? We ever done one together? I don't know.
I don't think we have, George.
Yeah.
We need to do that. We need to take over Friday Night Lights or something, Friday Night Rivals or something like that.
I've done a bunch of games with Pat Sperduto. And when you do one with Pat, and I mean this in all the positives, you just wind him up and let him go. He's a piece of work. Love him to death. Let's get into our daily Titans update. Terry McCormick, Main Street Media and TitanInsider.com wearing blue today. Terry, what's the significance?
It was clean.
I kind of thought that was the answer you were going to give me. So how did the Titans come out of yesterday health-wise?
Not too bad. Harold Landry able to finish the game. Levis able to finish the game after getting his shoulder knocked around at the end of the first half. Probably no worse for the wear. Sounds like he's on track to play this week. By the way, before we go any further, Kelly, you were talking about the high school football. Did you happen to see the 4A game, Macon County and Melrose?
I did not. I didn't get to see any of that game. Was it good?
Oh, okay. Because the Borders twins, who were the stars for Macon County.
You told me about that, yes.
I coached them in Little League Baseball. They were good athletes even back then.
Who ended up winning that game, Terry?
Macon won it.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah, like 40-14 or something like that, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, Terry, let's stay on Will Levis for just a second because he revealed, what I guess is not a total surprise, and that is that he hadn't been 100% at any point since the Miami game. Where do you think this goes going forward?
Well, if he's able to play, I think they have to play him because, one, they have to continue evaluating him, and two, he needs every rep he can get if he's going to be your guy going forward in 2025. And I think you saw yesterday after he'd put together 4 pretty good games in a row, not turnover wise and not maybe carelessness wise, but he took a little bit of a step back as one of the areas that he has to work on really got exposed yesterday. And that's the red zone, especially the deep red zone where from the 10-yard line in. I think that's been an area where he has to make more decisive decisions and make them faster and then make the throw better, because he only has 2 touchdown passes this year inside the 10-yard line. Everything else is from at least 11 yards on back. Some of those are red zone, obviously 11 to 20 yards. But, right now it feels like he's a better quarterback from 40 yards to throw a touchdown pass than he is from 4 yards to throw a touchdown pass. And that's something that has got to change. He's got to get better at that if he's going to be a starter in this league.
Okay, let me be ugly. Doesn't Brian Callahan have to get better? I thought his play calling in the red zone was downright weird.
Yeah, I think he needs to rely a little bit more on Tony Pollard down there and get what he can out of the run game, because certainly between the 20s, Tony Pollard was getting 5-6 yards a pop against that Jaguar defense. And just because the field is squeezed a little bit, when the field shrinks down there, yes, it makes the passing game harder than it makes the running game, in my opinion, because the running game is still pushing people off the ball and moving forward. The pass game, the intricacies of routes and timing and all that certainly is condensed because of the short amount of space you're working with. So yes, he needed to probably rely a little bit more on the run and a little less on Will Levis's arm in those instances.
Terry, I think I know enough about football to know when you're 3-10, football's not a lot of fun, especially when you've got another month left to play. And it looked to me yesterday like this has kind of hit this team. I didn't see a lot of zip yesterday, didn't see a lot of enthusiasm. And then after it was over, you really sensed more frustration than normal.
Yeah, for the first time, it felt like there was maybe a little bit of splintering going on in the locker room. A couple guys said, hey, you're eliminated from postseason. Now's the time. You got to start putting good stuff on tape for yourself. And there's truth to that, but you've also got to do that within the team concept, because your job is still to go out there and try to win games. And it was interesting yesterday, a couple of the defensive guys, and certainly, against Washington the week before, they were the primary culprits for the loss. But Sunday, they played much better, and it was the offense that was the problem. And you heard a couple of guys go, well, we got a couple of turnovers. We got to get more than 6 points out of that, which is true. And you heard Jeffrey Simmons say, hey, I'm tired of seeing our quarterback get his block knocked off, which is true. But you kind of throwing teammates under the bus if you take that a little too far. And maybe some of those guys need some of that, but it certainly doesn't sound good in the moment. Do you agree?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just a really tough situation. 3-10, I don't care how you slice it. You can put all the deodorant you want on it. 3-10 sucks. And it's hard for football to be fun when you're 3-10. I see Kelly shaking his head. Kelly, you've been in a situation or two like this in pro football. This is where you really earn your money.
Yeah, it's a tough situation to be in, guys. It really is. And I hear what you're saying, Terry, about everybody wants to put good stuff on tape, but you're still part of a team. But when it boils down to it, you're kind of an individual that's trying to get some stuff out there, and you got to keep playing. And your body is your asset. You got to keep your body in shape. But this is a tough spot to be in, guys. And it's just I've said it before, and I'll say it again. If you start the game off good, when you're 3-9, you can get some positive things going. But when things start going bad, it's like, here we go again. What does it matter? And that's the situation that they're in right now. I felt as though they should have run Tony Pollard more. He was gashing guys at the beginning of the game. And I'll say this in our stuff, George, but I remember Edgerrin James had 50 yards going in the fourth quarter, and he ends the game with 140. So you just got to keep pounding, and then at some point you're going to break one. But it's just it's a tough deal to be in where they're at right now, and it's tough to get guys. It's tough for a coach to motivate players, and if you have to motivate guys, man, you might have the wrong guys.
Well, here's something too that I'll throw out there, George, and I know you're very familiar with this, but it yesterday almost felt like the old Vanderbilt days gone by where, maybe they're in the game, but they're waiting for something bad to happen and they can't make the play that they need to get over the hump when they have to have it.
I used to find, now this has been 40 years ago, but there was a vibe when we would get deep into the fourth quarter of an SEC game where we had a chance and guys would look around at each other and go, what do we do? Because they really didn't know how to close the deal. And you're right, this team's suffering from some of that. And this coaching staff so far has done absolutely nothing that would help get them over that hump.
Yeah, I mean, they had some good vibes off the win in Houston a couple of weeks ago. But here's the thing. When you follow that up with 2 duds in a row, you lose the good vibes that come from that. And
yes,
that should have been a moment where this team turned a corner. Instead, they've gone right back into the same rut that they've been in where they play just well enough to lose, despite what the stat sheet might say, despite what, the watching of the game might look like. They're finding ways to lose, and that's a bad place to be.
Terry, we'll check back in with you tomorrow, same time, same place.
All right, have a good one.
Terry McCormick, his daily Titans update in the wake of yesterday's loss to Jacksonville. Let me say this before we get to the update. We're going to, on the show, both tomorrow and Wednesday, do what I would call State of the Unions. Tomorrow isn't going to involve the Predators from 4 to 5 p.m. Their situation is at death's door right now. They are, I can't even begin to tell you how shocked I am. Anyway, Mark McGee, Robbie Stanley will join us during the 4 o'clock hour. Then on Wednesday during the 4 o'clock hour, we will do the exact same thing, State of the Union, involving the Titans. So here we go.
There you go.
Billy, you have an update.
I do. It's brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. You can find her online at mortgageladiusa.com or give her a call, 615-969-4350. Monday night game tonight, Bengals are in Dallas to play the Cowboys. Bengals are 5-point favorites in that one. That'll be 7:15 on ABC. But more importantly, over the weekend, well, yesterday actually, the college football playoff field was released. Number 1, Oregon. Number 2, Georgia. Number 3, Boise State. Number 4, Arizona State. Clemson will play Texas. Tennessee will play Ohio State. Winner of that plays Oregon in the Rose Bowl. SMU will play at Penn State. And then Indiana and Notre Dame. Who would have thought that is the matchup, or one of the matchups in the college football playoff? The winner of that one will get Georgia. So we'll get into more of that. That's what the playoff looks like as of right now. I'll probably bring this up later, but Alabama AD Greg Byrne said yesterday that he will assess his non-conference scheduling philosophy moving forward after Alabama was the first team left out of the playoff field. He said he was disappointed with the outcome. He acknowledged the losses to Vandy and Oklahoma as 2 games in particular we did not perform as well as we should have. He also said that non-conference scheduling would have to be evaluated. So, but the thing is, Alabama didn't lose any non-conference games. They lost, but they did lose to Vandy and Oklahoma.
To me, and you guys tell me if you disagree, and we'll talk about this at 4 when we get into it. Given what you're now having to play inside the conference, because it's a Godzilla, the contenders can't go to Vandy and lose. They can't lose to Kentucky at home. In the end, That kept Alabama out, and it kept Ole Miss out. When you get toward the bottom of the conference, you had better mop up when you're playing them.
Vandy, obviously not in the playoff, but they are headed to Birmingham for the Birmingham Bowl. First appearance in a bowl game since 2018. They'll face Georgia Tech on Friday, December 27th at 2:30 at Protective Stadium. It's no longer at Legion Field. It's at Protective Stadium where UAB plays. Vandy played back in 2014 there at Legion Field. The Doors and the Yellow Jackets, if you remember, former SEC rivals before the 1960s. They last faced each other in 2016 with Georgia Tech killing them 38-7 in Atlanta.
I'm going to call Wes Durham and tell him he and I need to toss the coin.
It's the George and
the
West.
The two announcers that have been involved with both schools. I'm just kidding. Okay.
I like it, George.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can get that done.
Here's what I don't like. Story number 3.
Georgia quarterback Carson Beck injured his UCL in his right elbow after the hit there late against. Well, was that right before the half? It was a lot like the Levis hit.
Yes,
that was
the last play.
Yeah. So, but he's expected to miss the Sugar Bowl. Nothing's official yet, but
wonder
not looking
if
good.
they delayed letting that info out.
Oh, you bet they
so
did.
that the committee wouldn't know ahead of time and say, well, your quarterback's not there, so we're pushing you from X to Y. I just
here's
wonder.
the deal now. You can look, when he came back in for that one play that they scored to win the game in overtime, he was not feeling good.
No.
He tried not to use that arm at all, so you can tell by that he's not playing anymore this year.
What would have happened if Georgia lost that game and Beck was announced? But like you said, they wouldn't have announced it. Kirby would have said, no, he's fine, because there's a precedent of Jordan Travis.
Well, the other
year.
one is the NCAA basketball deal several years ago when Kenyon Martin got hurt at Cincinnati. And they went from a 1 seed to a 2, and in fact ended up in a regional at Bridgestone and got beat in that regional. That was the first thing I thought of.
No, they definitely hid some information there. Also, talks between North Carolina and Bill Belichick remain ongoing. According to ESPN, some type of resolution either way is expected this week. Adam Schefter said this morning that Belichick, his talks with North Carolina are real. He met with them for 5 hours yesterday, and Belichick went on Pat McAfee's show this morning. All he said was, we'll see.
I have spoken to Coach Belichick, and I asked him, are you going there? And here was his answer.
We're on to Wake Forest.
We're on to,
yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Nice. Good line.
That's right.
Good line.
Also, Oklahoma State head coach Mike Gundy will return to the Cowboys for a 21st season.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it got out that they used the threat of, if you don't play ball with us, we will fire you for cause. I wonder what they meant by that.
What cause? I mean, what?
I don't know.
I
don't know. Now, maybe he knows.
Something had to have happened.
Well, who knows? All I know is, boy, they sure got it done in a hurry. This is not the last time a coach is going to be facing this.
No.
He wouldn't cut his mullet.
Well, you know, I speculated that it was a bad mullet was the cause.
He is expected to be paid considerably less than he previously had agreed to. And the buyout structure of the deal is also expected to change. So Gundy.
Well, they probably didn't think he would go for that. Is why they did it, and then he went for it, and they said,
yeah. "All right."
Well, yeah,
whatever.
But I mean, how tough is life when you go from $7 million to 3.9? And I don't mean to make light, but I think I could make that work.
That's true, George. You're so true.
Also, how about this? UCF is bringing back Scott Frost.
How about that?
What in the world?
Well, let me ask you this. Why not?
I mean, he did really well there. They had a 13-0 season. Apparently, they won the national title, according to them. But where has he been? I tried to look that up.
He had been on the staff of Sean McVay with the Rams.
Ah, that's
By the way, UCF has gotten rid of the sort of the logo, not logo, but the team thing, in Gus we trust.
Yeah, Gus headed to Florida State, become the offensive coordinator there, and Florida State's, a lot of their staff is headed to, or a lot of UCF staff actually is headed to Florida State now. Also, college hoops, Tennessee is the new number 1 in the AP poll for the first time since 2018. They climbed up 2 spots after Kansas lost twice and Auburn lost to Duke. Tennessee's off to their best start since 2000. And they're number 1 in the net rankings as well. The SEC has 9 teams in the top 25.
What year was it that they went to number 1, and then 2 days later, Vandy beat them at Memorial Gym?
2008? Was that 8 or 10? I think it was 8 after they played Memphis and lost. I think that was 2008. But Vandy's also off to one of their better starts. They're 9-1 after a win. When
they were going to play on Tuesday night at Memorial Gym, it was a national TV game, and I went over there on Monday to tape an interview with Bruce Pearl. And Bruce comes over to me and he goes, "I heard you were once at Memphis State." Yes. And he goes, "Did you work with Calipari?" And I said, "Absolutely not." He goes, "Good." That's when I knew for sure. Okay, there's a little friction between them.
Well, there's no friction between the Mets and Juan Soto.
No, but give it time.
He agreed to a 15-year, $765 million contract. It's the largest deal. It's the largest deal in professional sports history.
Kelly, here's how far these salaries have come. You ready? Yeah. I remember when I was in school, the Atlanta Braves signed Claudell Washington to what was a revolutionary, going to ruin the sport deal. 5 years, $3.75 million.
Yeah, that's nothing anymore.
No.
Nothing.
This is insane.
Insane.
It took him from the Yankees.
Of course, he'll never see that, and I'm sure all of it's backloaded, but still.
Actually,
but
none of it is. Actually, none of it is.
That's right. It's all guaranteed. That's right, because it's a baseball contract.
The Yankees deal that they proposed to him wasn't enough. 16 years, $760 million.
Good. That may be why Terry was a little subdued. I didn't even think about that.
He didn't want that other year.
Really?
15 instead of 16.
Okay, after the break, we'll get into the Titans stuff. Got a lot to talk about. This is 94.9 The Fan.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun. Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonleyTimmons.com. 456-7983 or log on to DonleyTimmons.com.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Okay, let's get to it. Kelly, obviously with the Titans at 3-10, they're not going to any playoffs. They're not going to get a wild card berth. About the only thing left that really is of any major importance with this team is trying to gauge Will Levis and sort of say to yourself, okay, is he the leader of the future? And you've got all kinds of different opinions out there. There are opinions that range from he's just good enough to get you beat to it's not his fault, the offensive line sucks. So off what you saw yesterday, what would be your analysis of his performance?
George, I'm still going to go back to what I said when we started this process 2 years ago. I think he's gotten better. I really do, but I just don't know if he's that guy. I don't know if he's Jaden Daniels or I don't know if he's somebody else. He's definitely not Jaden Daniels because Jaden Daniels is the guy. Now he's probably on a better team, but still, with that being said, yesterday he didn't play great at all. He did some things that were okay, but I just don't know. I don't know if you can. I just don't get that feeling. I don't think you get that feeling. I don't think the fans get that feeling. I don't know if the coaching staff gets that feeling. I just don't see it, George. Like I hate saying that about a quarterback. I really do, because I'm sure people said that about me, and I'm sure I say this every Monday that we talk about this. But we've got to evaluate him. Terry talked about evaluating him. We have to evaluate him. I don't know if you can get a good evaluation on him. Now, when you start talking about, I would have never said this as a player. I'm not going to tell you that I've been injured all year. I'm just not going to do that. Now, the heat's starting to come down, and that's probably why he said that, because he wants people to know that I hadn't been 100%. But after the first game, nobody's really 100%. You're going to have nicks. You're going to have bruises. You're going to have things that hurt. You got to take care of your body. You got to eat right. You got to hydrate right. You got to get in the weight room and do all that kind of stuff. And you got to get in the ice tub and do all that kind of stuff. But I would have never said that. I just think things are starting to crumble a little bit, and I think that he feels like people are going to start questioning him. Maybe we need one player, like we said. We've got to do something with the offensive line, but he's getting hit too many times. He's holding on the ball a little bit too long. But I thought yesterday when they came out, I was like, man, give Tony Pollard the ball. Like, I know they got stalled on that first drive and they kicked the field goal, but like he was gashing people, and it just seems like, and I know Terry was talking about this being in the red zone, but when you look at the teams of old, you look at Troy Aikman when he and Michael Irvin and Emmitt Smith were together. When they got in the red zone, Emmitt Smith scored a bunch of touchdowns that way because they just bulldozed you over, and he didn't have to throw the ball much in the red zone. And yesterday, if Will Levis hits a Okonkwo instead of going to the guy behind him, I forget who it was, but Okonkwo's wide open. Why you that's your first read, you're flat your first read, and then you go over the top. Well, if he throws that ball We're talking about something totally different today because they win that football game more than likely. So in the NFL, when you have opportunities like that and when it's crunch time, you have to make those throws. And it just seems like over and over, George, it's just not happening. But I am going to go back to saying when a team that is 3-9 starts off hot, they're going to finish the deal. But when they start off like they did yesterday and they're playing another bad team and things are not going, it's somebody's looking to say on the sideline, who's going to make the play to win this game when you're a winning team? When you're the Kansas City Chiefs, all the crap that's happening with them last night, they kicked the field goal with no time left and they hit the upright and it snuck through. But that's what happens when you got a good positive energy, the chemistry's right. But when you get on a team like the Titans have right now, they're just looking and they're wondering who's going to make the play to lose the game for us, or is the other team just going to be like something's going to happen that's not going to be in our favor. And until they get past that, it's not going to get any better, George.
Okay, I want to run a couple of things by you because as you try to be fair with this, I'll admit he is not at a point for me where I'm ready to say hand over the keys. This is his car for the future. Mm-hmm. I'm not there. And the truth of it is, my guess is most of you are in the same position. But to try to be fair, throughout all this, he's had an offensive line that at times can get him killed.
Right.
And then yesterday, I thought we got a totally new thing to have to factor in. And that is, I couldn't figure out what Brian Callahan was doing. He starts out the game with 7 consecutive runs, which sort of tells me, okay, they think they can overpower Jacksonville, and they had some success with it. It led to a field goal and a 3-0 lead. But down in the red zone on 2 different occasions, I couldn't figure out what the hell they were trying to do.
I'm with you, George. I can remember when we were talking about this, Tom Moore called me today, and we talked for a second, but he told me Iowa was coming to the Nashville, the Music City Bowl. Take care of him, son, because, he went to Iowa back in the day.
Oh, wow, that's right.
I just remember him talking about, like, Edgerrin James. Dallas Clark just went into the Ring of Honor up there. So you got Peyton, Dallas, you got Reggie Wayne, you got Marvin Harrison, you got Edgerrin James. I can remember when Edgerrin James came to our place. Now, we weren't good when he came, but we were getting better. And obviously they won a Super Bowl. I was gone, so I was probably the reason that they weren't there. I probably sucked enough. But I can just remember Tom Moore talking about Edgerrin and talking about how you can have 40 or 50 yards in 3 quarters, but I'm not going to give up on the run. That was his deal. You've got to be able to run the football. And in the fourth quarter, the guy gets 80, 90 yards on one. He gets a one big play, and he finishes with 140. I can't tell you how many times I saw that, George, but Tom Moore was an old coach at that point. Brian Callahan's a young guy. His dad's older, but he's a young guy, and you have to be patient. Tom Moore's deal was don't get bored. Don't get bored with doing the same stuff all the time, and you've got to be patient when you get into a game. And I think Tony Pollard, he's got to run well, and he did. He started off the game yesterday, and he still had some things going through the game, but I thought they went away from him a little too early. That's the thing that I saw. That was the deal that I saw to begin the game with. You're going to start that way, and then you have a couple of deals where you're going to stop. You're going to get stopped. This was the play right here. Look at Okonkwo. He's wide open. Nobody's with him, and he throws to the guy that's covered. So that's just a misread. Like that right there, George, it scares me because you get tunnel vision as a quarterback, and you can't see. You just look at one single thing, and it just like if he makes that one pass,
whoa, stop there. I got to ask this.
Yeah.
Should those 2 receivers have been that close to each other?
They should not have. No, they should not have. But obviously, Okonkwo came across. I think he came across.
Right.
Let me see it. Go ahead one more time. I think he came across, and he's supposed to stay at the front of the goal line. You see where he is right now, but when you start looking back for the ball, you start fading. He shouldn't be there. He should be down that line on the goal line. But still, with that being said, that ball should have come to him. When you turn around, bam, he's got to get the ball. That's a touchdown. The Titans win. So I don't know. I'm with you, George. I think Brian Callahan, this is the first time for him calling plays, too. He's been around the league a long time. He's been around football with his dad a long time. But, hey, he's really inexperienced when it comes to calling plays, and I'm sure people are helping him. I'm sure people are telling him things. He's been around it. He's been around Peyton. He's been around Joe Burrow in Cincinnati when they did that. But it's different when you're the guy calling those plays, and you have to have a feel for that stuff. And you can't get bored with a 2 or 3 yard run, because at some point, if you keep with it, you're going to get a 40 or 50 yard gain from a guy that is really talented. So I just felt like they went away from it too early.
Apologies to those of you who are simply listening to this on radio. A little bit of the benefit for those who are watching the podcast, where we take 2 or 3 highlight plays. We're about to show you what caused Will Levis's injury. And this is the final play of the first half. Ugh.
Well,
and they're trying to go Hail Mary.
Yeah, that's just a guy right there with J.C. Latham getting beat. He just got beat right off the ball. And you can't blame anybody else. That's just him. You can't step up. You can't, like, when you're trying to throw the ball downfield, you got to buy a little time. But he had no shot to buy time. And I agree with Jeffrey Simmons. You look out there and your quarterback's getting mauled. Those guys got to play better. They've got to play better. But right there, that was just a man-on-man deal where I'm better than you are on this play, and I may be better than you the whole game. But right now, I'm going to go and I'm going to sack Will Levis, and that's exactly what happened right here. The left tackle just let him go.
Kelly, is it fair to say right now that we now have easily enough info? First of all, I guess I'm appalled that this team spent over $90 million in free agency, ran Carthon and Brinker, and this is what this product looks like. Okay, that's on them, and they should be coming in for some heat right about now to try to explain why this isn't any better than it is. But do we not have enough info now where it simply, in the draft, early on, they've got to start to fix this issue? Because until they fix it, it doesn't matter if it's Will Levis, Case Keenum, Sam Darnold, whoever. Don't they?
I think so. I really do. You've got to get, and Terry said it, and I'm kind of 50-50 on what Terry said before, because if you're a free agent and you get let go, the team probably didn't want you, or you're getting older, or something's going on. Well, that's kind of, A.J. Brown got let go by the Titans, and, maybe he was a problem child, but you see what he's done in Philadelphia. Sometimes that happens, George, with these free agents. Sometimes they're at the latter part of their career and they played well. You can't get the Snead kid. I mean, is he playing right now? I don't even know if is he playing? He's not playing. So, like, you spent a lot of money on him. You knew he was injured coming into it. And I'm not saying he can't come back next year and be an all-pro and all this. I'm not saying that, because he's got the talent. But you knew he was injured coming in, and that's a risk you take when you get a guy like that that's injured coming in, and you're just hoping that you can get him healthy enough to get back out there on the field and help your team. But he may not ever play. You never know. So I'm kind of 50-50 with that. You look at the Saquon Barkleys of the world. But, George, I think you have to, if you're looking and you look at what Tom Brady did at New England, like, they just placed guys in, but they always were consistent as an O-line room. Like Dante Scarnecchia, that guy could coach, and he always had guys up front that kept people off of Tom Brady. That is the name of the game in the National Football League, and you've got to get those guys. You would like to draft them, but if there's a guy out there that you can go get and he's at the pinnacle of his career and he's still got a lot of years, go get him, spend a lot of money. But I think the offensive line, obviously the offensive line and the quarterback are the key positions, because if you look at what Tom Brady did, he had Randy Moss for a couple of years. He had Julian Edelman for a long time, but there was always guys that were getting pumped in there. Deion Branch, nobody even remembers Deion Branch now, but they had guys that were just kept constantly coming in. But the one thing that stayed the same was Tom Brady, and his offensive line were always sound. And if you can do that, you can be really good on offense, and you can just place guys in there. But right now, they're not there, and they're not close. And I just worry about Will Levis, because I just I don't know if he's Jaden Daniels. I know he's not, but I don't know if he can get to that point. But like, it seems to me like all the guys that are there that come along really quick, you see something. Like, have you seen anything yet? I haven't. I don't know.
I can't say that I've seen anything that has made me decide yet, okay, he's the man, let's stop it.
Yeah.
And look, I've wanted to, because I came out in the offseason stupidly and said, relax, all is well. You know, it was like the guy in Animal House as the crowd's about to run him over, and he goes, remain calm.
But see, but that's the problem that the Titan brass have right now. It's like what I'm talking about. If you do fix the all line and you get 5 all pros, is he the guy that's going to get you there? And I hate saying this. I always say that. I hate saying this. I'm just not sure. I don't know that. And if I have the questions, you know, they have the questions. They're in the room with him now. He has gotten better. There's no question about that. And he's not doing stupid things like he did at the beginning of the year. He really isn't. But guess what? We all played football, and you're going to do stupid things at some point. He's going to do another stupid thing. But are they going to allow them to maybe get 5 all pros on the offensive line and then reevaluate him? Or how is this going to go? Because I have questions. They have questions. You have questions. The fans have questions. So it's a tough decision that's coming for the Titans.
Defensively, it was fine yesterday, but let me throw one asterisk out there. Jacksonville brings nothing to the table offensively. No. You talk about some Gerber's baby food. This is the touchdown for the Jaguars that ultimately got them the lead and the victory.
That was a play that I'm not saying the Titans gave up, but that was a run where I just thought to myself, they didn't feel like they didn't want it anymore. That was kind of a microcosm of the end of that game.
And what you had yesterday, and you may not think this is fair, but you had a lot of no-shows. It's not like Jacksonville's bringing anybody. And what the Titans have become is a team that only has enthusiastic, sellout crowd kind of stuff if the visitors bring somewhere in the 25 to 30% of the crowd range, which will lead me to an old song with a different verse when we come back. This is 94.9, The Fan. This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com. Are you concerned about the Medicare Part D changes for 2025? Believe me, you're not alone. You need to contact Pancoast Benefits. They'll make the changes clear and easy to understand. Trust Pancoast to guide you through it all. Their knowledgeable team is here to help you understand the updates and make informed decisions about your Medicare coverage. Don't navigate these changes alone. Call Pancoast Benefits today at 615-292-3400 and choose option 3, or visit pancoastbenefits.com. That's 615-292-3400 and choose option 3.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank and Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank and Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
You are on your way.
Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
So here's a little bit different spin on something that I have been all over since going back to the summer. Let me make clear, I have no use for what Burke Nihill and that group over at Titans Idiot Land have decided as far as pricing structure for the new Dome Stadium. I want to be excited about the new Dome Stadium. I think it's awesome that Nashville is going to get that. But I hate the fact that those of us who stepped up 26, 27 years ago to support this effort are now being absolutely fleeced. Can you imagine somebody going in there today after that performance yesterday against as bad a pro football team as there is out there and being told, well, for your 2 seats on the 15-yard line, it'll cost you $37,000 in PSL money for the right to buy the tickets to watch this product? Help me.
They don't care, George. They don't, because somebody's going to buy them. It's part of the NFL. And even if they buy them and they don't use them, just like you said, they can sell them to somebody that, if you got, because you're always going to have great teams coming in here. You're always going to have the 49ers. You're always going to have somebody coming in here that people will sell. So when it boils down to it, it's a business, George. When it's a relational business with coaches and stuff, but it's still a business to the owners. They're trying to make a buck. And hey, the NFL is what moves this country right now. Pro football, college football, as you're seeing with the championship that's going on, football runs this country, and until that goes away, the Titans, ownership, they don't care. They know they're trying to make a buck, and they're not worried about the consumer. They say they are, and they sit there and they tell you that they are, but they're really not. When you got beer and a pretzel and all that, and it costs $400 for a family of 4 to go to a game, that's kind of crazy. That's getting outrageous, George, with tickets, with everything that you have to get. So I just, it's only going to go up too. Obviously, when you're building billion-dollar stadiums, the consumer is the one that's going to pay at some point.
Go ahead, Billy.
It's a question. Like, at what point? Because go back to 1999 and early 2000s, Titans crowd. There wasn't a ton of issues with the Titans crowd and their attendance, right? So when did that start to shift? When did it get to the point where you were like, "Good Lord, what's going on?"
I would start to say a little bit of erosion around the time of all the Pac-Man stuff. And then it just kept getting worse. Kelly, the thing that bothers me, first of all, I knew the actual sellout number back then, 69,143.
Yeah.
And the truth of it is the only tickets that visiting fans could get were in the corners of the upper decks, and that's where they would put the visitor. And I remember the day it finally hit me. I was in the press box, and I turned to Willie and I said, look at the 50-yard line on the other side. It's all San Francisco 49ers. And he was like, oh, you're right. He goes, I hadn't thought about it. And I said, I really hadn't thought about it either. My point to this is it feels like they have just given up on that concept, and it's now sell as many tickets to the visitors as you can until the rare time that you get in the playoffs, and then put out an email to the fans saying, protect our house. They did that.
That's right.
The week of the Cincinnati game 3 years ago, and I went berserk. I was like, please, you've sold half this stadium to Buffalo 6 weeks ago, and then a week later, same thing with Kansas City. I mean, how does that help this football team that during most scenarios, the way they have it set up now, pissing off the fans that have supported them, that what this is really going to be is a dome stadium that, will be 30 to 40% visitor. I mean, how is that good?
I don't think it is good. I don't know, though. It seems like Tennessee, and I'm going to go back to this, when you had Steve McNair, when you had Frank Wycheck, when you had Eddie George, when you had Brad Hopkins, you had all those guys. Y'all had something here that you knew the Titans, like when I come down here to play and when I played against those guys, you knew the Titans were a formidable opponent. And now, since all that's left, like there's no tradition. Like I felt like you were starting a tradition with those guys, but you look at the traditions of the Pittsburgh Steelers. You look at the tradition of the San Francisco 49ers, the Cowboys, the Green Bay Packers. They travel. Like last night, I was looking, y'all watched the game, the unbelievable game between the Rams and Buffalo, my former team. Did you see how many people were in the Rams stands for Buffalo?
Yeah.
They look like they took that place over too.
Yeah, and I mean, the Rams players are bothered by that. They never have a home field.
Yeah, they really don't. That's just that's a different scene out there. That's a different deal. But I just I don't like it. What I'm saying is I felt like the tradition was coming with all those guys, and you just need to play off that, and you need to keep it coming. But for whatever reason, George, the Titans have been bad for a while now and hadn't won many games in a while. And until you turn this thing around and you get a guy in there, which I'm not saying that he's not, Brian Callahan, but until you get a guy in there that can start winning some games and put a really good product out there on the field, if you build it, the saying, if you build it, they will come. If you build an organization where everybody's proud of, you'll start selling that thing out. But right now, they're not there, and it's the owner's job to make money, and he's going to sell those tickets whichever way he can. Like I was thinking yesterday, your favorite line was there were sections available at that game. It's amazing. Like I looked on TV, and I couldn't believe that was an NFL game.
It might be the worst attended game all season in the NFL.
That I don't know, but I will say this because I lived it much more closely with that first group that was here. So much of the credit for the players being out in this community the way they were is, my former friend, the late Frank Wycheck. I guess former friend is that. Let me take that back. My friend, the late Frank Wycheck, because Kelly, he sort of had the ear of about 15 to 20 players. And, whether it was Lorenzo Neal or Billy Volick or McNair or Eddie George, they were out everywhere. And this community loved them. And there was a pride in our city about being the home of the Tennessee Titans that I fear we've lost. And that's really that saddens me a bunch because when it was good, it was really good.
Yeah, let me ask y'all this. There's still, because the NFL does a really good job of getting players out there, but just like you're talking about, George, you had relationships with all that, and you're not close to it like you were. But like this different athlete, this different generation of athlete, do you feel like they're sincere when they go out into the public, or it's a monotony? I've got to do it. I'm getting paid all this money. Does it really matter if I go out here? Because I don't care. And I think that that's where money's gotten into it. But if you go out there and you're nice to the people, you're nice to your fans, and the NFL does a really good job, and I'm sure the Titans do too, of getting guys out in the community. But is it phony or is it sincere? And I think that's where you get, like, if you're a sincere person and you go out and you speak with somebody that cannot help you do anything, and you're nice to them, you're going to have more people come to the games and you're going to have more people like you. But it just seems like this different athlete right now. And now it's starting to get, now it's obviously in college because they're getting paid all this money and they come to the pros and there's a sense of entitlement. You think that's got something to do with it?
Well, I'll say this. When he was well, Frank Wycheck was a people person. Man, he would, the thing I so admired, we would do this Frank Wycheck show every week from 6 to 7 p.m. at Jonathan's out in Brentwood. And it would be 45 minutes to an hour afterwards that Frank would sign autographs, kiss babies, take pictures. He was a one-man PR factory. And my show was a beneficiary of that. But we had so much fun. And a lot of those guys were a lot like him. People persons.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm saying that right or not, but I don't know what this group is like. I just know that when they first got here, it was really special, and it doesn't exist anymore. I know we got to go to the break. We'll probably bomb on stat of the day. Then we'll get into the ending of all the debate in college football. We now know who the 12 are. What does it mean? This is 94.9, The Fan.
Where can you see a saber-toothed tiger rappel from the rafters? How about a catfish fly? The biggest stars in Music City. Not to mention hockey's hottest ticket. The Predators win! Only in Smashville. See your Nashville Predators all season long at Bridgestone Arena. Single game tickets are on sale now at NashvillePredators.com. Let's go, Preds!
Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday.
Convenience and value, two words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
Sportsmanlike.
Do you guys think Dan Campbell's a soup guy?
No.
No?
No. He's a meat and potatoes guy. No question.
No, he looks like a beef barley type guy. Maybe a stew.
Matzo ball?
A stew.
Dan Campbell and I just matzo ball soup on a Friday night. What do you think?
Unsportsmanlike. Weekday morning starting at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2. Carlin versus Joe on ESPN Radio.
You cannot put this game on a pedestal like that, and then as soon as the game is over, expect cooler heads to prevail, people to shake hands, and demonstrate class. This is college football. If you got a problem with someone planting a flag, why don't you go ahead and beat them?
Carlin versus Joe, weekdays at noon Eastern on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, and on SiriusXM Channel 80.
This
Larry from Shelby, previously on the Paul Feinbaum Show. Going from Coach Saban to Coach DeBoer, it's like going to bed married to Beyonce and waking up with Whoopi Goldberg laying next to you, brother. This is just friggin' disgusting. How do we accept it? Is this acceptable, Alabama fans?
The Paul Feinbaum Show, weekdays at 3 Eastern on the ESPN app and on the SEC Network.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. All around the world on the Game Nashville app. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Recapping college football championship weekend, talking a little college football playoff with the field set. But first, time for Stat of the Day, brought to you by Apple Collision Centers. You can find them in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, or Gallatin, or you can give them a call, 615-754-9800. Also, find them online at applecollisioncenters.com.
By the way, how iconic was that bump music? When you hear that, you know exactly that you can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. Thank you.
Thank you.
See, I don't get to hear the music, but we're talking Little Eagles, huh?
Oh, big time.
Nice.
All right, we're going NFL. Aaron Rodgers threw for over 300 yards yesterday. Who did he play the last time he threw for over 300 yards?
Well, it feels like the last time he did it was when he was at Cal. I'm just
That's
kidding.
pretty good, George. That's pretty good.
So let's think about it, because he hasn't done it as a Jet, so it had to be in Green Bay.
Yes.
His last game in Green Bay, was that not the loss to the 49ers in the playoffs?
Seems like it was, but did he throw for 300 yards? It's probably
good
the
Lord,
Titans.
no.
If you want,
no.
It's probably the Titans at some point. I don't know.
Wow, that was
stating the obvious.
That was a little cynical. It wouldn't the obvious be Bears, Minnesota, Chicago, Bears, Vikings, Lions, one of those three?
I would have to say, if that's the case, he's had some of his greatest games when he did the, I'm the champ here against the Bears. So if it's me, if you're picking with those, I would say the Bears.
Billy, show us the Chicago Bears.
Boom.
Oh, yeah.
How about that? Yes, I still own you, baby.
Ladies and gentlemen,
nice.
We are 1-0 for the week.
1-0
that was
this
good
week.
stuff, George.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, we welcome all of you into the 4 o'clock hour from the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. George Plaster, Kelly Holcomb, William Derrick.
Okay.
Or as John Ward would have said it, William Derrick. Sponsored by the Insurers of Tennessee.
And natural gas.
Natural gas. Milk's the one. So we'll open up the phone lines around 4:25. Get ready. I want some strong takes today from red-blooded Americans. Kelly, let me start it with this. It hit me Saturday that the Georgia Bulldogs have a little bit of Kansas City Chiefs in them. That when push comes to shove and when they get their backed up against the wall, they're a little like the Chiefs. They just win, baby.
They rally around each other, that's for sure. I don't know how far they're going to go. I know they get a first-round bye. I don't know how far they can go with this young man at quarterback. He's a redshirt sophomore, I think, but he did some good things. He kind of brought a little juice to him the other night, but I don't know if he's a thrower like Carson Beck. Of course, Carson Beck starts games off slow, but he finishes pretty good in a lot of them. But I don't know, and I think y'all are right. I think they did a good job of kind of hiding that because I think they were thinking the Florida State deal last year was going to happen to them if they said that Carson Beck is out of it. And you know what? Well, it couldn't have happened now because they won it, but I just don't know how far they can go with that young man as their quarterback who's not really played much college football.
Well, doesn't it now mean, guys, that Georgia's path to a title has to be almost exactly the same blueprint as what they showed against Texas? They can't get into any shootouts.
Well, and when he went in the game, that lit a fire under Georgia. They played a whole lot better in the second half than they did in the first half, and everybody stepped up their game when Stockton went in there because they knew they had to. They started running the football. I mean, that was an old Georgia performance early. Kirby Smart in his tenure. You know, they were play great defense and run the football, and that's what they did. And I know Quinn Ewers kind of a statue back there, which we'll get to, but they lit him up, and I think they knew that's how they were going to win, and that's how they're going to have to win, you know, in the playoff too, whether it's Notre Dame or Indiana, and then moving on.
Kelly, isn't that Texas's one weakness? If you're going to attack them, because there's a lot of things about them that's really good, but if you can put Quinn Ewers on his butt 6 or 7 times, that seems to me that's the route you have to take if you're going to get them.
Yeah, I think so. Does he do it for you guys? I text Billy. I just said I've never really. He's a good quarterback, and I like him. Here's the deal. He plays the game like I used to play. He stands in the pocket, and he's going to make throws. So I feel like the other night he threw a pick at a critical time. You just always feel that, like when I don't know, can he win you the big one? Can he win you the big game? Can he step up in the time? Like this is getting like the NFL now, but can he, when crunch time comes, can he make the play? And I'm not sure. I always feel an anxiety there that I'm sure the Georgia fans feel. Can he get you over the top and win a game when he definitely has to?
Isn't the answer, Billy, that he's got to have a clean pocket?
Yeah, I mean, he's got to have a clean pocket. He's not mobile enough. I mean, if you heat him up, he just wilts under the pressure. I mean, Vandy got a couple of sacks. They forced him into an interception late in the game, and the jury is out on how to play against Texas in that offense. But also, I didn't like the play calls early going back to their first overtime possession. They threw a couple of 50-50 fade balls in their first couple of plays in overtime. It was like, what are they doing? I mean, didn't try to run the ball at all, no creativity. And, of course, Georgia wins it with a touchdown there. But I did not like those couple of play calls there from Sark early in overtime. Just felt like they didn't give their offense much of a shot at all.
Silence.
Like I watched. I was like, what are they doing?
Those balls that Billy's talking about, like that's you're playing against NFL guys that are going to be in the NFL. That's hard to complete. And if you got a matchup that is so over there, you're probably not going to win that matchup. And I think that's kind of what happened the other night. But Georgia rallied around that young man, and they knew that everybody else had to step up, that he's a young guy coming in. He's inexperienced. We've got to help him out. And, man, the level of intensity picked up when that happened. And instead of relying on Carson Beck, they relied on each other and relied on themselves, and they went out and got it done. Now, I don't know if they can go far with him, but they showed the other night that they beat one of the top teams in the country for the second time.
And again, the difference in the game was Georgia was the more physical team. They ran for 141 yards. Texas ran for 31.
Was it that little?
Yeah.
Wow. So, to me, Ewers is very accurate if it's a clean pocket.
Yeah.
The whole I'll tell you one place he doesn't need to play with the Titans.
Oh my gosh.
Because
that wouldn't fit well.
He's a statue, and he's got to have a totally clean pocket. Now, if he gets that, he can be deadly. He's a great thrower.
Yeah, and he made some really good throws. And he didn't play awful, but Georgia heated him up. He couldn't do anything. My question is there a point here where if you're Texas, do you try to get Arch Manning involved a little bit more? Because I don't see Quinn Ewers winning 4 games in a row and winning it all for Texas. But how do you involve Arch Manning?
I think he's who brung you, so I think you got to go with him. I think you give Art some. I just can't believe how good that. Like even Kirk Herbstreit was talking about how well put together that Arch Manning is. Like he's thick.
Yeah.
And it just is amazing that he is a runner and his uncles were not. I mean, they were kind of statues too, but I know Archie, when he was playing with the Saints, he could run around, man. So he obviously got that from his granddad, but it's amazing to put him in and he's going to run the football. That's just amazing that a Manning's like that, because you think of Eli and you think of Peyton, who threw the ball from the pocket. You know, Eli was more of an athlete than Peyton. Peyton wasn't going to run much. You know, if you gave him 2-man, he would take off, but like, it's just amazing. Now they put Archie in to run the football.
Those
He's got to be looking. Well, first of all, Arch has got to be sitting there going, I don't need to ask Peyton any of this running stuff.
Well, they put him in on that 4th and 1, and everybody in the stadium thought he was going to go up and sneak it, but they snapped it in between his legs.
Yeah,
and
how
Texas
about that?
got the first down, but Georgia went for a 4th down late too, right? Are y'all remembering that too? I thought there was.
Remember that.
Well, first of all, the play call where the center snaps it under the quarterback, Sark must have gotten that from Andy Reid.
I mean, I thought he might have lined up under the guard, and I saw the replay and he snapped it. And I was like, oh my gosh!
I mean, kudos to the center for pulling that off. Okay, I know we got to go to the other games.
Yeah, Georgia faked a punt late in that game. I remember.
Oh, that's right. Yes, that's right.
That's what I was.
Yeah.
Does anybody believe Clemson, who came alive, held on for dear life, Clemson, does anybody think Clemson can give Texas any level of run for their money?
A little bit. I don't think it'll be a blowout, but Clemson, let's face it, I'm not saying they lucked into this, but they survived by
They got more
the
gift
hair.
than anybody.
Yeah, and so Klubnik's playing better though. I mean, he's improved a lot, but Kelly, they're not. I don't see them on the same level as Texas.
I don't know. This
Happy for
playoff
Dabo,
deal
though.
is. Yeah, but I promise you this. Now, Texas would rather be playing Boise State. I mean, I think that Clemson gives them a little bit more match than Boise State would, but I just don't know how good. I'm not sure how good Clemson is. They've lost 3. I don't know what y'all think about them, but I just don't think they're a great football team. I really don't, and they're lucky to be in it. If Miami wouldn't have just pooped the bed and did what they did against Syracuse, which I'm glad that Syracuse won in our underdog picks, but like they had everything in front of them, and they go do that, and then you give Clemson, and then Clemson obviously takes it and runs with it. But that game the other night, I just like. I'm thinking to myself, guys, and I know we got to go to all this, but like South Carolina, Ole Miss, and Alabama, all those teams are better than Clemson, SMU, Boise State, Arizona State. They're all better than they are, and I know you got to give everybody a fair chance, and I'm a group of 5 guy too. I played at middle at 1AA level. I mean, I think that they all need a chance, but if we're going to have the top 12 teams, I just don't think those are the top 12 teams.
No, Clemson is not a top 12 team, and even by the ranking, they're the lowest ranked team in this field. They're ranked number 16.
They got the playoff mulligan that nobody else got.
Yeah.
And to their credit, they took advantage of it.
Yeah.
Now,
they did.
They might get toasted in Austin. I don't see them winning down there, but, you know, better to get in and get toasted than to
That's right. To not get
be
in
kept
at all.
out. So
that's right.
What do you all think you learned out of Penn State scoring all those points and it wasn't enough?
I think that it shows that Oregon's defense is not very good. Maybe Penn State's offense is better than we thought, but I don't think so. Like, what's going to happen when they run up against a Georgia or a Texas even? Like a Texas defense is pretty good too, fellas. They're a Southeastern Conference defense, and you like watching Dylan Gabriel. I like watching him throw the ball. Tez Johnson, James, my son actually played with him at Troy. He started out at Troy's from Montgomery, I think. He's a really good player. But and the reason he got there was Bo Nix. He lived with Bo Nix for a while. Bo Nix and his dad kind of brought him up. But Tess Johnson's a really good football player. But I just don't know if Oregon's defense is good enough to win the whole thing. I don't know what y'all think.
Well, and they gave up 30. You know, remember 34 to Ohio State too at home. So it's not like
30. 31.
31.
32-31 was
So this
the final.
isn't a Texas-Georgia level defense.
So think about this, Billy. Oregon goes in as the 1 seed, undefeated. Have you seen any of the pundits who have just said, you know what, this is Oregon. They're just better than everybody? I don't hear anybody who thinks that.
No, it feels like by the product of their schedule, and they are in the Big Ten, but they played a weaker Big Ten schedule. They only had to play Ohio State, really. They didn't have to play Indiana. They didn't play Penn State in the regular season. And I'm not can say they lucked into a 13-0 record, but it feels like there's a little bit of that. You know, what would have happened if they would have played Penn State in the regular season, or even Indiana? You know,
I don't believe they beat Texas. I don't think they beat Georgia. I'd love to see Notre Dame. I don't know what level Notre Dame's at.
I don't know that if Tennessee beats Ohio State and it's a Tennessee-Oregon matchup in the Rose Bowl, I think that's probably a good game.
By the way, if Tennessee were to jump out, let's say 10-3 early,
can you say boo birds?
I would love to see what that. I would love to see what that crowd turns into, because I think there's a go Bucks fire day. Go Bucks. You know, there just feels like a level of pissed off in Columbus that you can feel down here. By the way, that Tennessee-Ohio State game, as we said it would be, prime time on Saturday night. The Notre Dame game is prime time on Friday night. Kelly, I'm here to tell you I think both of those do pretty well in ratings.
I agree, George. And I do think this. I was thinking, and this is going to make Billy happy, but I was thinking yesterday, I'm like, I'm not sure that Notre Dame has a real good shot at this thing now. I just don't know. Like look at all the teams. Like, what do we think about Indiana? We think Indiana is a good football team, but are they great? Probably not. Like Penn State, James Franklin was in the Big Ten championship. He comes up short again. Texas is good defensively. UT's kind of up and down. Ohio State, I'm not sure about Will Howard. I'm not sure that Notre Dame has a realistic shot to win this thing, man. The way that they're playing, I don't know.
And if they win, they play a non-Carson Beck Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. Notre Dame's set up well, but so is Penn State. I know we'll get to this in the bracket, but Penn State has an easier path than Oregon to the national title.
They really do.
They get SMU, and then if they win, they play Boise.
So a couple of words about the Big 12 title game, which, by the way, was played in front of a virtually 100% empty upper deck at Jerry World. Anybody notice that?
No surprise.
Two words. Scataboo, scataboo.
He's unbelievable.
Kelly, a friend of mine hit me with two different comparisons. John Riggins, Mark Allstott.
Oh, wow.
Allstott.
That's pretty big. I was with Mark Allstott for a training camp. That dude was really good. He was a good player. He could catch the ball. He was a strong runner. Yeah, maybe. So you think he's Mike Allstott level, huh?
Well, I don't know. I just know that he breaks too many good runs for it to be a fluke.
Yeah.
Boy, he tore into Iowa State.
That's what I was about to say.
They didn't have a prayer.
That bad. Yeah, bad. That's kind of sad.
So, Billy, for those watching by way of podcast, put up the bracket as it is right now. So the Friday night game on December 20th will be Indiana at Notre Dame. If you know somebody that thinks Indiana wins that game, great. But if Indiana wants to be referred to as a great team, they have to win that game. Agree?
Agree.
Yep.
Saturday, Texas Clemson. That's the early game.
No, I thought it was. Oh, is it
Early.
Texas? Okay, Texas Clemson.
Oh, no, I take that back. I'm
That's
sorry.
the other one.
You're right. SMU Penn State is the early game on Saturday. I can't wait to see what the weather is there. That's the 11 in the morning game. Clemson, Tejas, 3 p.m., and then Rocky Top and OHIO.
I can't wait for that one.
At 7 o'clock on Saturday night, December 21st. My guess is in this state, that game will have a pretty good rating.
Oh, yeah.
Because you got not only the Tennessee fan base, but you got a bunch of OHIO down here as well.
And that's by far the best game. Notre Dame, Indiana.
On paper, yes.
Yeah, Notre Dame, Indiana is going to be fun too. But there's not a game I'm more excited to watch than that one.
Okay. We're going to the break, and then we're opening up the phone lines, and we're opening up the chat room. Phone lines are available at 615-553-0933. Again, 615-553-0933. How do we get chat comments?
Chat room's open. To the right of the YouTube screen, just type in your question or comment there. I'll get it over to the guys, and then to do the same thing on Twitter and Facebook as well. Would love to hear from you.
Okay, I'm looking for red-blooded Americans who want to talk some sports, whether it's college, pro, whatever. And I would love to hear from one or two new listeners who have found us and then told 10,000 of your closest friends. This is 94.9, The Fan.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun. Here's Officer Garen Hoskins for the Metro Nashville Police Department.
The Metro Nashville Police Department is on the forefront of policing in this century, and I'm glad I'm a part of it. I'm glad I get to find other good officers, other future good officers. And if you're watching today, or you yourself or someone you happen to know is interested, join MNPD.com. Feel free to reach out to us because we need good officers, and it's a great city to work for.
Are you concerned about the Medicare Part D changes for 2025? Believe me, you're not alone. You need to contact Pancoast Benefits. They'll make the changes clear and easy to understand. Trust Pancoast to guide you through it all. Their knowledgeable team is here to help you understand the updates and make informed decisions about your Medicare coverage. Don't navigate these changes alone. Call Pancoast Benefits today at 615-292-3400 and choose option 3, or visit pancoastbenefits.com. That's 615-292-3400 and choose option 3.
Convenience and value, two words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
Sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Excuse me. Okay, we welcome all of you back. Let me say up front, I'm disappointed. I've only got 2 calls on the line. I'm looking for red-blooded Americans who want to talk some sports. Jump in now, because I've allotted a good amount of time for y'all's opinions, and I want to hear them. 615-553-0933. That's our number. And again, how can they chat?
Yeah, chat room's open on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Just type in your question to the right side of the screen on YouTube. Just swipe up on Twitter and Facebook as well. So we're going to get going with Lynn on Twitter. How much are you willing to bet that Georgia sat on Beck's injury till after the seedings were announced? I'd be willing to bet a lot.
Kelly, let me put it in my own the damn tea in China.
But here's the deal: they won. They won the SEC, though. They still get a first round bye. You know, I
that's it. But
if that doesn't necessarily mean
they're in.
Oh, they're in, but that doesn't mean that that they couldn't say, well, yeah, you're a champion, you're in. But because of the injury,
you could be number 12.
Well,
right?
Yeah, hopefully they wouldn't.
But if they lose, oh my! I don't want to know what would have happened if Beck's injury is announced before the seedings are announced.
My guess is that the first thing that Kirby did when they got in the locker room is he went over to the team physician people and said, if you let one word of whatever you know out,
you're fired.
I'll send you to Georgia Tech.
Oh, my gosh.
No, I'll send you to West Alabama or somewhere.
Yeah. Mercer. How about that?
That's right.
You'll be assigned to Mercer. Eric in Nashville, welcome.
Well, George, before I get to start, I just had to say I had a blast Friday night ringing the bell for the Salvation Army at the Kroger's in Green Hills. Got to sing some songs, sing some traditional Christmas songs as well as cartoon songs like from Frosty the Snowman, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Charlie Brown Christmas, and of course I also broke out into singing "You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch." So that was
okay. Good. Could you give us one little what do they call it, Billy? Is it a verse in a song?
Yeah.
Maybe one verse of Mr. Grinch.
Okay. George, you should be laughing.
No, you got us laughing too. I can just
wait a minute. You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. You
stop there.
Nice. You're as cuddly as a cactus. You're as charming as an eel, Mr. Grinch.
You're a scumbag.
You're
Mr. Grinch.
That's pretty good. Like eel.
Beautiful. Excellent. Go ahead.
Thank you. I could sing the next verse you want me to, but I won't do that.
No, I think we've heard enough.
George, a couple of things. I'm not calling to talk about baseball, but what Juan Soto got, I really believe in the next 5 to 10 years, I never thought I would say this. I really believe we're eventually headed in baseball. If it keeps going at this rate, you're going to see a $1 billion player. I really believe within the next 5 to 10 years. I never thought that would be possible, but I think that's what we're headed. George, I'm going to wait.
It's gotten totally out of control.
Yeah. I'm going to wait and do my piece on the Titans on the State of the Union on Wednesday because if I call say it today, I'll probably say the same thing Wednesday, but I'm going to wait and do that Wednesday on the State of the Titans. But as far as the college football playoff, I'll say this. I don't have a problem personally with Alabama being out or SMU being in. And in fact, I do think they have a shot against Penn State. Now, whether or not they'll win, I don't know. But I do agree with what was said that definitely Penn State has an easier path than Oregon does. But my main issue, I've said this, is with Indiana. I'm sorry, because if Alabama played a schedule like Indiana, everybody would be screaming, well, they shouldn't be in. And my problem with Indiana is the fact that they played basically the bottom part of their conference. I know the Ohio State, I know they did beat Michigan, which Ohio State lost to, but they really hadn't played much of anybody. And their strength of schedule is like 100, and I guess 7th or whatever it was. And that's just insane. And I think you need to do some tweaking to where you do have people playing top competition, because for Indiana, they can say, well, we didn't have to do it this year. Why should we schedule any tougher? You know, I think they should play more kind of top competition. And I do agree. I think either they're going to have to beat Notre Dame or play them close to kind of rectify that. Because if they go to Notre Dame and get destroyed, it's going to look bad. And also, I didn't know if you had heard this. I think, like, I don't know if it's the most expensive ticket or the cheapest ticket, but I did hear it was at the Indiana Notre Dame game. The tickets were going for as much like over $1,600. And I heard like at Tennessee, Ohio State was something like $500 or something like that. It may have even been increased or increased in the next few days, but we'll see what happens. Guys, I'll get off. Y'all take care, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you. They've priced the $50 person out of the market. Man. If you want to sit on top of a flagpole, maybe. Billy, go to the one at the bottom, and because I want Kelly to comment on this one. Go ahead.
Justin on YouTube says, you may have already addressed it, but how long do you think Carson Beck will be out with the UCL injury? I've heard some say it might take a long time to recover from that, but have no clue.
See, I don't know anything about those, but I have heard they take a long time to get over.
Is that what Brock Purdy had?
Did he? I know that there's young men that are pitching now that have these UCL injuries that have surgery on them. It takes a little time to get back. So maybe he's ready for the combine. Maybe he's ready for all that stuff. I don't know. But that's a bad injury, I know, for a throwing athlete. That's tough.
It apparently depends on whether surgery is required. If surgery is required, recovery can take 9 months to a year or longer.
Wow.
So,
and all they're saying is the Sugar Bowl game. Look up, if you can, during the next phone call and see if we can get out of the Atlanta area, maybe through the AJC, any better info on what all this means. Clay in Nashville, welcome into 94.9 The Fan.
Class, how we doing?
Good. Hope you are.
Doing great. I'm going to bust on Kelly a little bit here, bust his chops a little bit again. George, do we need to have kind of, now correct me if I'm wrong, but I think some days, Kelly is not present and accounted for. Is that true?
Yes, but if you were getting paid what he is, you wouldn't be either.
That's a true statement, Clay. Just remember that.
I know, Watson's favorite saying is big boy, yours is Hoss. Anyway.
This was part of the agreement to get high-priced talent in here.
Yeah. I wanted to talk a little about the Vandy-Georgia Tech matchup. I think it makes sense when Vanderbilt plays Wake Forest or Vanderbilt plays Georgia Tech, similar schools in power conferences, smaller schools, academic schools. On the negative side, my concern would be if Georgia plays or Georgia Tech plays as well as they did against Georgia, it could be really tough for Vanderbilt. But Vanderbilt's positive side of things, I think, according to Clark's press conference yesterday, and maybe I'm sure you were there, Billy, but he says the team's excited about this matchup, and it is important. I think, Billy, you said this at one point. It's important to win this bowl game and to have a winning season. It's important for recruiting. It's important to have a winning season for the first time since 2013, and hopefully, this will refresh the team a little bit to have a little bit of a break. Hope Otavia is a little bit healthier. But I think it's going to be, hopefully, a pretty good matchup.
Yeah, I think it's a great matchup. And fan bases should travel. Atlanta's a couple hours away from Birmingham. It's a short 3-hour drive down I-65 for Vandy fans. They showed up in 2014. I think over 30,000 Vandy fans traveled to that one. That was James Franklin's last game at Vandy, and who ran faster that day? Chris Harris of Channel 4 joked with me yesterday. So who ran faster that day, Jordan Matthews or James Franklin after the press conference?
Wow.
So that was the Franklin's last game. But no, and this quarterback matchup, Haynes King against Diego Pavia, that's going to be fun.
Haynes King's a stud.
He is. And Georgia Tech's got a receiver that already entered the portal, so I don't think he'll be playing. But I think it's two teams that want to be there, and you don't always see that in bowl games anymore.
Brent Key's done a really good job in Tech as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you play, for instance, the guy that's already said he's going to enter the transfer portal?
You can.
Are they allowed to play in a bowl game?
Yeah, you can. I think they just talk that over with the coach and see, make a decision if they still want to play in the bowl game or not.
If I'm a coach, If I'm a coach, that's not happening. You're out. If you're leaving, you're not playing in the bowl game. That's just going to be my deal. If you're leaving, no chance.
You're a mean one.
Maybe. Hey, and you know what? I was just.
But
thinking
you know what?
too,
I'm kind of with you.
Buster Faulkner needs to be up for child abuse with what he did to Haynes King in that Georgia game.
Oh, my
gracious. That dude stayed in the bed for 3 days, George, after the game.
You know what? I'm going to call him, see if we can get him on. I'll tell him how big a fan you are.
Oh, gosh. Unbelievable how many times he run that poor child.
Clay, good enough?
It appears that they really rewarded the teams, that won their league championship. Where was, for instance, where in the playoff ranking last week, where was Arizona State ranked? Because they moved them all the way to 4, so I would think they moved up quite a bit, didn't they?
Well, they were at 15 last week. They're now up to 12, but they get a bye because they are the 4th highest ranked conference champ, which is dumb, but.
That's something that's going to get tweaked out of this system in a couple of years. Dumb.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be some changes next year, wouldn't y'all think?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it's next year. I don't know when they are allowed to do the tweaking. If they're allowed to do it over the summer or whenever, let's hope the conference champions and where they get seeded might need a little adjusting. Leave it at that.
Yeah. Great show, guys.
Thank you. Let me get Tony in Nolensville before we go to the break. Tony, welcome into 94.9 The Fan.
Hello, George, Kelly. George, I took your advice Friday. I rested the voice a lot. And
Man, I was worried about you.
Better, obviously. Well, thank you. The committee, I thought, threw they threw a makeup call on Alabama, the SEC, because of last year. I've said this to Poggi and one or two others. Some people agree, some don't. But the way it went down last year, with Bama getting in, Florida State getting booted out, I do think that they had a makeup plan, and that it was I don't know if it was discussed, but you had 3 ACC members on the committee, and I think they said if SMU loses and they play close, and keep it a close game, that they're going to go in. If they had been blown out, I think Miami would have been put in. I don't think they were going to every intentions of putting Alabama in with 3 losses, and 2 of those 3 losses coming against non-ranked teams. And I think they looked at that, and it might have been an unspoken thing, but I do think there was something to that. And, George, you touched on it earlier. All I've got to say, guys, if you hadn't watched them, I've watched them 3 weeks in a row now. Arizona State is a sleeper. You got a hell of a passing game that people don't even know about yet much. And you've got, of course, Scatterboo. Everybody knows of him. And they are a sleeper. I think they can get to the semis, if not maybe to the championship. I just think it looks well for them. I've watched them 3 weeks, and I would put them in one of the top 4, and regardless of them winning the Big 12. So that's just my take on it. And the last thing, when you got this guy Scatterboo, Kelly, I don't know if y'all knew it or watched much of it, but I know you were doing high school games and all. But at the half against Iowa State, Scatterboo had more yak yards than Iowa State as a team had in total rushing. This guy is a bowling ball, and he reminds me a lot of John Capoletti. That's who he reminds me of.
Oh, I like that one.
Let's go. Just wanted to talk to you, and good show as always. Thanks.
Hey, thank you. Kelly, we have late word from Arizona State that they would rather play Clemson.
I'm sure they would.
Yeah.
I just don't think Clemson's very good. I don't know if I can agree with Tony about putting Miami in, but I thought that game, I talked to one of my Alabama buddies. He's like, there's no way they're going to put them in. And I said, dude, it's over, man. They're putting SMU in because they're going to succumb to the pressure, dude. Society does not want Alabama in, and they're going to succumb because if they would have gotten blown out, then Alabama would have been in more than likely. But when they kept it close, game over.
No, the second half of their title game got them in.
Yep.
Yes,
period.
Absolutely.
I want to ask Tom in Old Hickory, Mike in Melrose, George up in Boston. All 3 of you hang with me. I'm going to get to all of you after the break. This is 94.9, The Fan.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
We told you not to do this. Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9. The Fan.
And
the Game Nashville Sports Network. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Okay, let's get right to it. It's y'all's time to fire the opinions back at us. Let's start in Old Hickory. Tony, welcome into 94.9 The Fan.
Tom.
Oh, Tom, I'm sorry.
How
Would
are y'all
help if
today?
I could read.
It's okay. That's okay. 6 to 1, half a dozen to another. Hey, I got a comment on the Titans, but wanted to comment on this playoff real quick. You know, we live in an age where nobody's responsible for themselves. It's always somebody else's fault. The bottom line of this Alabama thing is they controlled their own destiny. If they would have beat Oklahoma, they'd be in the playoff. They got nobody to blame but themselves. And that's kind of the end of it. They can complain all they want. It's on them. Would y'all agree to that?
Yep, and I even wonder if they had lost 24-20 instead of 24-3, if they would have gotten a little more love in this deal, because they got the hell beat out of them in Norman, and they never want to bring that up.
No, nobody mentions it. So, same thing with Ole Miss. You can't lose to Kentucky at home, and they controlled their own destiny, but then they lost to Florida. So, you know, anyway, my comment on the Titans is this, and I'll get off. Guys, how foolish do you think the Metro Council and the mayor look now? They voted to build this new $2 billion stadium, tore down a stadium that was only 25 years old for a team that's never won anything. And they're not going to win anything anytime soon. I mean, I don't get it. But anyway, y'all have a good night. Just a couple of thoughts, and Merry Christmas.
Hey, by the way, keep listening. Tell about 10,000 of your friends that were out there. Kelly, the one thing that I would say is that the stadium they're in right now was built on the cheap because it was all our city could do. $292 million, $71 million of which was PSL money.
And they didn't maintain it.
Yeah.
They did not maintain it. And the Titans contributed to the disrepair of that place, and I used to yell and scream about it because you'd see the filth underneath, you know, where we would be in what I would call the bowels of the stadium. But anyway, it's just my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a stadium. I understand that, but now stadiums are big business, big money, and that's what the owners want. So there you go. Plus, I'm sure they've been promised a Super Bowl. So when the Super Bowl comes, everybody will be happy.
Mike and Melrose, you are up next.
Good afternoon. Hey, George, I left before you were done last Monday night. Did your combined score break the Mendoza line, your bowling score?
You know, it was 142 and like 112.
So you did break the 200.
Yeah, the
total.
first game was fairly respectable. By the way, did you get a shirt?
I did not, but you can
Okay,
give it to, I've got plenty of shirts.
I'll arrange. I can see how excited you are.
He don't want one, George. I promise.
I'll get one to your dad.
Hey, I want to a little baseball congratulations to the Cobra, Dave Parker, and Dick Allen. It's sad. Dick Allen, he died 4 years ago. I think 10 years ago he was one vote short.
Oh wow!
So he will not be there to accept, and that's just a baseball for you. And then Dave Parker, he's got Parkinson's syndrome. But he said he's had his speech ready for 15 years. So
I believe it.
Congrats to them.
Yeah.
The only thing on the football, somebody made a good point that Ole Miss really has more of a state. I mean, they did blow that one against Kentucky, but the common opponent, we look at South Carolina, they blew out South Carolina at South Carolina. And then the common opponent, Georgia, they beat Georgia a lot worse than Alabama did. So they kind of have more of a case than Alabama does to be in there.
You know, that's interesting. We don't really talk about that much.
Yeah,
That Ole Miss Ole Miss could have been that team instead of Alabama.
Well, yeah, it felt like, okay, one brand is up here and the other's down here. And
I guess what Ole Miss lost at home to Kentucky.
Yeah.
And that's the differentiator. But
to me, the lesson to be learned is, listen, first of all, I love the fact that Kirby just sat there with Sankey listening to it.
Oh, my gosh.
And said, this schedule is ridiculous that we're being forced to play.
But look at what they had last year. Their schedule, remember that was the talk last year, their schedule, that they had an easier schedule.
But don't you think most of the schools physically are beat up in this league?
Yeah. But for him to say that right in front of Kirby, Greg Sankey.
In front of Sankey was hilarious. I loved it. Anyway, go ahead, Mike.
I think Mike might have dropped.
Mike might not want to hear all that. George in Boston, welcome into 94.9 The Fan.
Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going?
Good.
I had a thought for you guys about Vanderbilt's NIL collective. I was curious, George, if you saw the announcement about Anchor Impact's recent appointment of a board of directors or advisors. I forget exactly what the title is, but among the athletes selected was a friend of yours, Will Perdue. And it seems like Vanderbilt is really gearing up in this area. They got to run their NIL collective, the same guy that was at New Mexico State with Jerry Kill. And it seems like he's got his ducks in a row. And I wouldn't be surprised if they throw some money around in the portal. And I was curious as to your guys' thoughts on that development.
Yeah, look, I'm happy. Will Perdue cares about Vanderbilt basketball more than any human being that I know. And Will and I are great friends. And, if he could have been here last Monday, he would have been. He just couldn't make it work out. Billy, I like seeing Jordan Matthews on that. I love seeing Brant Snedeker.
Yeah.
Good. This is good.
Yeah, this is their governing board for whatever. I mean, I would guess they meet and talk about whatever. But, I mean, to have these people back involved, I mean, Will Perdue, that says a lot, especially on the basketball side. Jordan Matthews, we know about Vanderbilt's golf program. But, yeah, he talked about Paul Grindstaff. He's Vanderbilt's Anchor Impact director. He did some good things at SMU. He did some stuff with New Mexico State when Jerry Kill was there. And I think he's going to be really good for Vandy. Now, you got to continue winning on the football field like Kelly's talked about. You got to sustain it. But they're set up well. And they've got a big decision coming up with Pavia, but they should be able to make some more noise this offseason, similar to what they did last offseason.
Well, now, let me say this. Until a judge makes a decision,
they
got no decision.
That's the thing. That could hurt them if this drags on. It will hurt them if it drags on.
Yeah, I'm surprised this judge, knowing what was at stake, has allowed that to happen.
I heard today maybe we get something. I doubt it, obviously. But
Kelly, I'm not going to piss off a judge. You never know when I may need the help.
No, that's right. And I just don't understand if Diego Pavia has reached the pinnacle of his success here. What do y'all think about that? Like, has he came in and he kind of surprised everybody? He's a good football player. There's no question about that. But I've told y'all sometimes I feel like he tries to do a little too much. So next year, if he's able to come back, if the judge rules in his favor and he's able to come back, will he be with Vanderbilt? And if he is, I guarantee he's not going to sneak up on anybody.
I talked about that with somebody the other day, and he told me, he said, I think Diego Pavia is a guy that can get you up above your floor and get you to that 6-6 season, but can he get you to the ceiling you want?
Any further?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I hadn't thought about that, but the more I've thought about it, he's not a big guy. He's stout, but man, he got banged up every game.
But I'm going to go a totally different way. You could have Brock Purdy quarterbacking that team. If you think Brock Purdy's getting them to 10, 11 wins, no. I mean, he did a hell of a. I'm taking up for him. He did a hell of a job to get it to 6-6.
He did. But can Vandy do better? Is what I'm asking.
Better in what way?
Can they go get a guy that is maybe a little bit taller? I'm not ripping Pavia, but again,
not just a guy, but they've got to put people around him. They've got to get better offensive linemen. They've got to get guys around him more. They started it with him. Now they've got to sustain it and get better athletes around him.
And at what point, if you're Clark Lee, do you say, "Hey, this is dragging on too long. We got to go find another"?
That's a worry. I mean, I'm sure they've got plan A and plan B together. And I would hope at this point that Clark knows what Diego Pavia's asking price is to come back. I'm assuming they've had that conversation.
Yeah.
I don't know that. Either way, we got to go to the break because, Kelly, there's a standard of excellence that the Plaster Bet of the Day has. You'll find out about it when we come back. This is 94.9 The Fan.
Where can you see a saber-toothed tiger rappel from the rafters? How about a catfish fly? The biggest stars in Music City. Not to mention hockey's hottest ticket. The Predators win! Only in Smashville. See your Nashville Predators all season long at Bridgestone Arena. Single game tickets are on sale now at NashvillePredators.com. Let's go, Preds!
Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday. This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
I can't do that with you talking to me. It's why I don't invite people over to watch the Super Bowl or to watch the NBA Finals. It's because I can't focus on the damn game while they're doing all that yapping. Exactly. I can't do it. And I don't think you should hold that against me because I can't get on your level with that.
Unsportsmanlike. Weekday morning starting at 6 Eastern.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Monday night Bengals are in Dallas to play the Cowboys. Cincinnati favored by 5. That's 7:15 on ABC. We'll see where George is going with Plaster's Bet of the Day, brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. But first, we take a look at how the weekend went. My goodness.
Kelly.
Wow, George.
Hold on a minute. Now, Billy, put a W by Boise State.
Whatever.
Well, you know what? It's important to me.
Yes. And only
Look
you.
at that record. I am 10 over 500, 108, 98, and 3. I'm
Kelly,
proud of that.
I know that means a lot to you, Kelly.
I could care less what he thinks.
Gosh, save it, George.
He's
Nobody
the
cares,
Grinch.
man.
He's the
just
Grinch.
Go on. Just pick
He's
a game
the
and
Grinch
move on.
that needs to go to Vegas.
Let's go.
You know what? Tonight, I don't know. I mean, Dallas is playing better, and there's a part of me that wants to take them, but I have a feeling Joe Burrow lights them up like a Christmas tree. I am taking the Bengals.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. How about that?
Two bad teams.
Yes, they deserve each other.
Yes.
Tomorrow, got a great show for you. Tony Basilio at 3:20. Enough said right there. And then at 4 o'clock, a State of the Union of the Predators, whose losing streak has gotten completely out of hand, and they are at a real defining point where something has got to change. Robbie Stanley from 102.5 will join us, Mark McGee as well, and we'll want your reactions, your comments, all that kind of stuff. We'll do the same thing on Wednesday with the Titans. Back-to-back States of the Union. See you tomorrow on 94.9 The Fan.